Hello, I'm Helen Brocklehurst, Head of Skills and Research at the Hydrogen Capability Network. In this webinar, I'm going to put out a request for support from our community to help deliver the objectives of the Hydrogen Capability Network. I'll start by giving some background on what we've achieved so far and what we've found, and then go on to lay out what the request is. The Hydrogen Capability Network was set up as a follow-on from the Fly Zero project with the objective of looking at what infrastructure and support is needed to ensure that liquid hydrogen-powered flight technology development is maintained and accelerated within the UK. We're an independent and objective organisation driving forward the priorities for hydrogen in aerospace, and we're taking the lead on cryogenics in the UK. We've been looking around technology development with certain core pillars, including skills, research, infrastructure, and liquid hydrogen supply, with an objective of driving efficiency and reducing duplication. This brings opportunities for the supply chain, and we have an objective to accelerate the UK's wider skills, expertise, and capability in this core area going forwards. This slide illustrates the interaction of those key pillars. The supply of liquid hydrogen and the test infrastructure drives technology development both from low to mid TRL and the understanding, and from that comes the expertise and the understanding in the UK and the skill set that the UK needs to drive this technology going forwards. During our first year of operation, we've come up with a number of conclusions. Firstly, there's a lack of suitable infrastructure, particularly at mid-scale volumes of liquid hydrogen, to develop the technology and build the confidence going forwards. Linked to that, there's a global shortage of cryogenic skills, and those with aerospace understanding are even fewer. We've aggregated up the domestic demand for liquid hydrogen as part of this technology development phase, and the volumes that we're requesting here are insufficient to make a commercial case at this stage for domestic capabilities for manufacturing hydrogen, liquid hydrogen in the UK. This will evolve with time, clearly, and as demand from other sectors is aggregated in. And finally, and most relevant to the opportunity I'm presenting here, is there are fundamental gaps in research and enabling standards, particularly in low TRL understanding of the fundamental physics and chemistry associated with liquid hydrogen. If you look at the technologies that are needed to deliver liquid-powered hydrogen flight as laid out in the Fly Zero reports, there's a range of areas that need development, including the design of airframes with dry wings, liquid hydrogen-powered gas turbines, liquid hydrogen fuel cells, distributed propulsion, and the whole fuel system going forwards. If you look at a lot of those technologies, the UK has a great deal of strength, both at mid and low TRL research and within our companies to deliver those technologies. And in those I'd include the gas turbine combustion, the design of aerostructures and distributed propulsion. If, however, you look at the fuel supply system, a cryogenic tank supplying fuel to a power source, whether a gas turbine or a fuel cell, and the management of that cryogenic liquid from the tank through to a gaseous state at the point of use, this is the biggest disruptor to the technology probably since the gas turbine, and this is the area in which the UK lacks the fundamental depth and knowledge, both mid-TRL but also most crucially low TRL, to underpin the technology development going forwards and to optimise the technology at a rate sufficient to deliver hydrogen-powered flight by 2035. Looking at the technology challenges behind the whole fuel supply system on the aircraft, we're interested in focusing on the management of the fuel on the aircraft, so it's fueling, it's defueling, it's cryogenic storage, and the management of the fuel as it goes from cryogenic state through to gaseous state at the point of use. So that includes the pressurization of the fuel and the thermal management of the fuel. Out of scope is the use of the fuel, so hydrogen combustion and fuel cells, and also the management of the fuel on the airport. The fundamental low TRL research that underpins the in-scope section, of course, will be relevant to the other areas, but they're not directly the focus of this work going forwards. Just as a reminder, the fuel storage and delivery system needs to be capable of operating throughout the flight envelope, ranging from low power, taxi out and pre-flight checks, through to high power at takeoff and climb, and then mid-range at cruise. Throughout this, the demand of fuel through the fuel system will vary significantly, as will the pressures and temperatures that the fuel system will experience throughout that cycle. In order to identify which themes and topics needed further research to underpin the technology development of the fuel storage and delivery system, we've run a number of workshops. First area identified was that of the material properties and the fundamental science, the physics and the chemistry to underpin the understanding of the reaction of material properties to the impact of cryogenic hydrogen, including both the thermal, the mechanical, the chemical effects, any gradients and cycling, considering experimental modelling capability. Linked to that is the health and safety story. How do we model, how do we demonstrate that liquid-powered hydrogen flight is safe and that failure cases can be managed safely, both to manage the CAA and the regulatory burden on the technology and also the public perception of the technology. The next topic is thermofluids. How do we manage the state of hydrogen from its cryogenic state in the tank through to the gas at point of use? How do we understand the evolution and the density variation as it goes, the thermal management and pressurization of it going forwards? And finally, sensing technology. Although this is not a low TRL fundamental technology understanding, having appropriate sensing technology both to manage the health and safety and to carry out experiments to understand the fundamental capabilities outlined above, we need to have appropriate sensing technology, so we need to understand what is available to us out there. The main objective of the Hydrogen Capability Network within the next year in the research theme is to develop a coordinated, collaborative, pre-normative research proposal to bolster the UK's capabilities in these fundamental understanding going forwards, and from this go to government to ask for funding to support the development of this capability in the UK. To do this, we need to take the detailed list of subjects that came out of the workshops we've run and prioritise those based on industry needs. And with that, together with the UK's current capabilities and an understanding of what the international capabilities are, we can identify what the UK gaps are and hence feed that into the proposal to demonstrate to government where additional funding is required. Our request here is for support in benchmarking the international capabilities on the 4 themes I've laid out earlier, and to generate a final report that takes that knowledge and benchmarks it against UK's capabilities to help us in this process. Bids can be for 1, 2, 3, or all of the topics, or a subset of those topics dependent on the expertise that you bring. So we're putting out a request for proposals to support us in mapping out the global capabilities in these areas. What we would like is a desk-based assessment of global capabilities in 1 or more of the topics or a subtopic, and particularly interested in which organisations are active in this topic and what's their level of maturity. What level of investment have they got now and have they had historically? What experimental capabilities do they have? What pressures, temperatures, liquid hydrogen flow rates, etc. can they run experiments to? And what modelling capabilities do they have? Particularly what maturity does that have as well? And have they been validated and verified? And are there any gaps in the work that's happening globally? As mentioned, out of this, the final deliverable will be a summary report. This will be published on the ATI website and will be used to assess the research priorities for the UK in these key areas. If you're selected for this proposal, we would anticipate a kick-off meeting followed by monthly review meetings where we jointly review the progress and the understanding that comes out of your work, and we can course correct as appropriate with any changes recorded going forwards. So, what's the ask? What support do we need from our community? We plan to put together a prioritised research proposal, identifying which topics need focused research funding. And in order to do this, we need an understanding of what the international capabilities and the topics I've just outlined are. So we're asking for bids from organisations to help us through doing a desk-based assessment of the international capabilities of all, some of these topics or a subtopic area. And we're particularly interested in which organisations are active in the topic and what's their level of maturity. How much investment have they had historically and have they got now? What are their experimental capabilities? What pressures, temperatures, liquid hydrogen flow rates can they run experiments to? And what are their modelling capabilities? Especially what's the maturity? Have they been validated and verified? And any gaps that are out there internationally? Out of this work, we would see a final deliverable report that will summarise the findings of this desk-based research, and this will be published on the ATI website and we will use this to assess the research priorities for the UK. If you're down selected, we expect a kick-off meeting that will be followed by monthly review meetings to ensure that the research is heading in the right direction, and jointly, if there are changes in scopes or topic or what the deliverable should be, those will be agreed between us and recorded going forwards. The timeline for this work is very tight. We need to deliver our research priorities by the end of March 2025, so we need the final report by the end of December this year. Consequently, you have until the 12th of July to put together quotations to submit for a work for consideration, and we will be assessing in the week starting the 15th of July. Just to reiterate, the deadline for submission is the 12th of July this year. We have a total budget of £250,000 for all the topics given above. In your quotation, we'd expect you to lay out your work scope, which topics or subtopics you want to cover, and how you will go about assessing the landscape. We'd like you to define what your current research capability and experience in the topic selected is, and that you confirm the availability of resource. As I said, the deadline for this is very tight, so there isn't time to recruit new people. And we'd also expect a layout of the approximate project plan. We will select against whether you have relevant experience, what the cost and value for money of the work you propose is, again, whether you have resource available due to the timescales, and what the relevance of the proposal you put forwards is. A little bit more detail on next steps. You have the opportunity to come to the Hydrogen Capability Network for additional information, including access to the draft workshop reports and the T's and C's associated with the work. If you have any questions, you can submit them via email to our address shown there, or you can, if you wish, request a meeting with us to discuss the proposal in more detail. We will collect together any frequently asked questions and issue them on the website on the 21st of June. You then have between the 21st of June and the 12th of July to do your quote preparation, and if questions arise during that, you can of course contact us during that period. As mentioned previously, we will do down selection during the week of the 15th, commencing the 15th of July, and then we'd expect work to start and be initiated on the 22nd of July, again to reiterate that the resource must be available for that date. There's further information available, so this webinar presentation that I've been going through here and a report detailing the tendering process are all available on the Hydrogen Capability website. If you want the T's and C's and the draft workshop reports, please contact us and we will issue them to you. As I say, all email questions to us, and if you want further discussions, please email us at that address there. And we will also publish the frequently asked questions on the Hydrogen Capability Network. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to hearing your proposals.